Good afternoon. Welcome to Made by Granat. It's Anna here, and I am here today with a flip through. This is my first hardcover Christmas journal I made this year, and it is made out of a repurposed book, and that was published in 1914. Let's see, maybe we should measure it. How about that? It is 8¼ by 6¼ inches, and the spine is about an inch, a little short of an inch actually. And on the cover I put, as you can see, it's a lovely gilded embossed edge here, or debossed edge. And this is a genuine vintage cabinet card that I put on the front, and I've also put some Tim Holtz holly on the two corners. On the spine there is a little label to cover the title of the book, and on the back you have the same debossed pattern but no gilding here, and there is a vintage Swedish Christmas stamp, and this is from 1990, and there's also some Tim Holtz labels. It has a permanent closure made out of Sara silk ribbon, and as I said, it is published in 1914 originally. I have sewn the 7 signatures in with a hidden hollowback, 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and it has a hidden hollowback spine. That was what I wanted to say. And it has 7 signatures and a total of 172 pages, plus some flips. And let's start. The end papers are from scrapbooking paper from Authentic, I think the name of it, the company is. Down here I have sewn on a piece of a vintage doily as a pocket. I'm just gonna get a sip of coffee. I feel my throat tickling. And inside the pocket is a vintage New Year card, postmarked in 1930. No salutation, just an address. On the first page I made a small collage with half a golden doily, paper doily, and some Tim Holtz ephemera, the holly, and Tim Holtz paper dolls, and a small, I believe this is Tim Holtz as well, circle down there. This page tore a bit, so I mended it with my faux cellophane tape, for vintage cellophane tape that I made. And here you can see the publication date, 1914, and another round circle over here, so that makes a small tab. Here is a little robin, I believe, on the back of that, and this comes from a like a diary or around the year, and you can write a bit, one line each day. This is paper that I tea-dyed this summer, and I put some lace on top of it, and I think that turned out pretty cute. This is from a vintage, antique Danish songbook. Here is a envelope from, what does it say, 1990, and I cut it open and to make room for more journaling. We have a folio from a what's it called? A Gamage's Christmas catalog, and it's a reprint. So you can, and that's in the center, and you can fold it out and you can see the entire page. I didn't have the heart to cut it off or make it into text, but look at the doll's house. No, it's constructional house. You build it. Cool. And here's the back of the envelope, and on top here I just clipped a little journaling card. And as I said, the book was originally published in 1914, so I put in the December calendar from that year, and I had a ribbon on top of it, and that's just clipped in there. The back of the songbook, and the tea-dyed paper, and the rest of the daybook. On this page, this is from the original text block, I made a little side tuck using the large Tim Holtz collage strips from this year, and I added it onto a piece of tea-dyed paper, and then I added more ephemera on top of it, and I sewn a bit here and there to give it a bit of extra dimension. And inside it I put a little tag that I made in one of my use it or lose it's. And on this one there's a tab, and I punched a hole and put in an eyelet, and inside the eyelet there is a little bronze snowflake dangle. And I covered the text on the back of the page to add more journaling space, and this is just some lined paper, tea-dyed lined paper, and I inked a bit around it, and down here I put a Tim Holtz ephemera poinsettia to add some detail. More tea-dyed paper with lace. This is from another catalogue, and it's a Swedish catalogue from Åhlén och Holm, and it was a reprint as well from 1900. Different ideas for Christmas gifts. Here is a little pocket I made in one of my use it or lose it's with my collage paper, and it's on top of this lovely scrapbooking paper. And inside there is a Tim Holtz ephemera card and a genuine vintage Christmas card. And I believe it says 1934. 21st of December 1934. That goes in there. We have a vintage ledger from 1923. Some lined paper. I love using different sizes of paper and putting them in on different angles. It gives a bit of a more interesting journal, I think. Just another sip of coffee. Here is a piece of a Edith Holden calendar. Birthday book. This is from December. And here's the back of that ledger, and I fortified that with some washi tape because it was not cracking, but it was not far from cracking, so I thought I would fortify it a bit. And on the back of the scrapbooking paper I put a lovely image of a Madonna child, and I have cut this out with my die cut machine, my Big Shot, and then I gilded the edge around it to blend in a bit with the gold here. Here's the back of that catalogue with a little tab on it. There's a little guy standing, and I bet he's looking at all the fancy toys on here. And that's a Tim Holtz paper doll. More tea-dyed paper. And here, let me get this out. Here and there in the original text block, there was little images, and here I tried to just use my watercolors to fill in the drawing, and I thought that turned out really cute. And then I added the red berries to make it look a bit more Christmassy. And here is a little journaling card. I just added a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera on top of a Tim Holtz ephemera. And it goes into this little side tuck. And I believe that is a Kate Greenaway image. And it says happiness down here. And I added that. And on this side, there's an envelope. And this envelope, I made this in one of my videos. This is a double tuck spot, because in the envelope itself, there is this really cute vintage postcard. I really love that image. This is Swedish Christmas. And this is also Swedish Christmas, this image. I love that old man going down the ski slope. And over here there's another tuck spot, and I will pocket. And I just added a little booklet I made. I have been using my Tim Holtz ephemera this year, and I love it. Here I once again used my watercolor pencils, or watercolors, to give a bit more color to the page. And I also filled out the centers of the flowers. More tea dye paper. Here is a doily. We have craft paper, and as you can see, there is tons and tons of journaling space, or space to add your own ephemera. This ledger has a flip out, and that is a library card that I got from Kate at Pixie K Designs, and I have altered it myself using some distress inks and a doily, and then I put on pieces of ephemera and a saying merry and bright, and then I sewed it onto the page. I think that turned out quite cute. This is from a vintage children's reader, and it is Christmas Day. Belle and Harold could scarcely go to sleep last night. This morning they were up before light. They ran downstairs and found their stockings. Then they sat down and looked at their presents. And there's little children, and they are going through their stockings at the chimney, at the fireplace. And in the center here, there is a lovely image of Father Christmas, or Santa Claus, or whatever you like to call him. And that's a little tab up there using Tim Holtz ephemera. This is a vintage photo that I cut out of a book about Christmas in the past in Sweden. And this specific image is illustrating. It's the Christmas tree is actually hanging from the ceiling, because that's what they did. They didn't have the space in the small cottages where they lived, so they hanged up the Christmas tree in the ceiling. And in that way it didn't take up as much space. And in this case, this kid has they put the kid on the table, and he or she is showing off their presents. What a happy kid, right? And I aged this image quite heavily by using sandpaper and distress inks and cellophane tape. I think it was quite fun. Here is another flip of the ledger page, and this is genuine vintage wallpaper that is heavily embossed, as you can see. And I love the gold and the silver and everything on this. I think it's really Christmassy. Down here I have made a small collage using what are they called? Collage squares, maybe. Tim Holtz square ephemera, and a little Santa Claus, and another one on this side, and that makes a tab. And underneath there is a piece of rations cards, vintage genuine, and then it says Christmas wishes. Rest of the doily, rest of the tea-dyed paper. this page, once again from the original text block, I have covered the text with writable space, because the book was not Christmassy at all. It was about war and things like that, so I thought it was better to leave it to you to fill out with your text. And here's a flip of this lovely holly. I can journal on the back of that as well. I have covered the back with some piano roll paper. More tea-dyed paper. This is a genuine vintage bill. No, not bill. Receipt, that's the word. And it was quite tall, so I folded it up and made this into tuck spots and just put a tab around it. Here's more of the Russia's cards, Tim Holtz ephemera, and a little tag inside. And this I made in one of my use to lose it using my collage paper and some Tim Holtz ephemera, and I put vintage laundry label up here, and that says AE. That's me, Anna Elizabeth. That's my two names. We have green copy paper, because for me Christmas is all about red and green and gold. Here is a image that I cut out of a vintage magazine, and it is two children looking at the star, evening star, I believe. And I thought that was really beautiful. And down here is Christmas roses. And I backed that magazine clipping on some vintage paper. Here is a page from a 1905 dictionary, Swedish to German. More ledger from the 1940s, and this one has numbers. Of the dictionary. Here is the back of the vintage paper, and here's a little tab using the Tim Holtz ephemera that looks like little books. And I made a small collage here with some collage paper, numbers, and it says peace and joy to all. And here we have a page from a book that is called Prince and Other Dogs, and it's a book jam-packed full with vintage photos or antique photos of dogs and their owners, and I use it quite heavily. And I turned this into a flip, and I love those the outfits here. And it says dream of bygone days, and I made a little tab from one of the Russian cards, and there's another fellow and his dog on the back. Quite cute. And I punched once again the edge with one of my edge punches. I think this adds a bit of extra to the book. Here's the rest of the receipt, and I'm once again put some ephemera on and put a tab around it. And this is one of the little journaling spots I made in one of my use it or lose it's. It's made out of vintage book page. I have made a spine for it by using, in this case, some Christmas washi tape. I have a genuine vintage ticket, and this is some vintage Victorian scraps, some Tim Holtz ephemera, and one of my laundry labels. And you can journal inside of this. Some hidden journaling. I think that is quite nice. Tea-dyed paper. More of the from the Edith Holden birthday book. Here's another little tab. CR for Christmas. That has been sewn on for extra security. There's a little red thread I can get rid of. Here's some music. Here we come with Sailing and We Three Kings. This paper is from a vintage it's like a book where you collage or where you keep your newspaper clippings, and this one was unused, and I love the patina on this one and the red borders, so I am using it in my Christmas journals. This is from a Joan Walsh Anglin book. Christmas is a time for giving, but it's in Swedish. And this is a share actually in a oh, I looked this up. What it was in English. You own a share in a sorority building, kind of. And more of that one. And here I have made a little pocket. This is, as you can see, a vintage Christmas. Probably it was a Christmas card inside once, because there's Christmas stamps here. And it's from 1990, and it's written in lovely golden pen. But this is also a flip down. So I flip it down like this. You can see there's a tab. Just gonna push this up, and then you can open it up and journal inside. Quite cute. And here is a little pocket that I made. Some Tim Holtz ephemera. I just edge punched it and aged it a bit with my distress ink. And this flips up underneath that little circle there. I thought it was fun and cute. And a fun way to use up big envelopes. And that is also made into a tiny tab because it's doubled up around the edge. We have more tea-dyed paper, and here is more of the Edith Holden. And down here I just put a little rub on, something that I really love using right now. More of the tea-dyed paper with the lace. And here is another page from the original text block, and this time I covered the edge with a piece of Tim Holtz collage paper from this year's stash. And on this side here's a piano roller paper, and the 25 I put there, and that is Tim Holtz. Here's another receipt, vintage one. This one is used and it's from 1919, and it had a lovely red color there, so I decided to use it in my Christmas journals. And it was from, can't even read, something about iron. I believe they bought some tools. And red copy paper, and here is more of the scrapbooking paper. This one has golden stars on it, and here is a vintage postcard. Merry Christmas. It says God Jul, which is Swedish for Merry Christmas. Once again, lovely robin down there, and this opens up and you can journal inside. And it's also a pocket, and in here is a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera, and it's a telegram. Merry Christmas to you and Aunt Lou, and many more to come. And I just aged it a bit and put a tab on it. Put that in there, and you can journal on the back or put in something else. This is Swedish children's Christmas songs, and it's from a vintage piano book. And more of the scrapbooking paper. I love this gold on the craft paper. And the red copy paper, and here is the back of the receipt. And here I covered the original text with a piece of tea-dyed onion skin paper. And down here I put a Tim Holtz ticket and a little label. And on this page, once again, covered the text, and I also filled in the drawing with my watercolors. And I think that turned out quite cute. Gives it a bit more something to look at, you know. Here's a little tab that I made, and I followed the lead from my dear friend Carol. She has a YouTube channel called Friendly Quail, and she made this lovely tabs using paper clips and safety pins. And I just made a little collage here with some label and a little fabric and a piece of crochet lace, and as a little dangle on the paper clip there is one of the Tim Holtz tokens, and this one says special delivery. Here is a piece of Tim Holtz once again, and this is his backdrops, and on this side of it I have made a bit of I used collage paste and made some stenciling. Love that crisp white. Tea-dyed paper. This is from a vintage French calendar, and I didn't write the year. I will see if I can find that. And it's quite fragile, so I reinforced it with some washi tape. This is packaging paper, and I made a tiny collage using a vintage label and some Tim Holtz ephemera. And that is also a tab. Here is the rest of more of the newspaper clippings book, and here I have reinforced it with some red washi tape. This is from an 1835 vintage book, antique book, and love that paper. And in the center there's another envelope. This one is also from 1990, and it opens up and you can journal inside. I love using envelopes. You can use them in so many ways. You can make pockets, you can make tuck spots, you can make journaling space, or all kind of things, and I love that. And I have so many of them, so that's good. Yeah, and all the pages that were fragile has been reinforced with different washi tapes and Christmas theme of them. In this book is the back of that little French calendar. 1934. That's why I didn't write the year, because it says there. And some more tea-dyed paper, and here I have just put a line of different Christmas stamps. Some of them are from the US, some of them are from Sweden, and I just love the colors there. This is the back of the Tim Holtz backdrop, and I made a little pocket here using one of his collage frames, put a lovely lady inside and glued her down, and I said that her name is Hazel. It says Hazel down there, and inside of it is another little journaling card, and I made this last year, I believe, with a stamp and some ephemera on it. And we have reached the back of the book, all 172 pages. So I hope you enjoyed this flip through. This book has really been a joy to make, and I love it. I waited so long before I found this the right image to put on the front, and when I did, it just came together so perfectly. So if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below. How are you doing? Are you making Christmas journals, or are you buying yours this year? This one will be available in my Etsy shop later today, in a few hours, I believe. And so go and follow my Etsy shop as well if you don't do it already, and if you're interested in the book, and you will get a notification when I upload something. So thank you all so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow with my Use It or Lose It. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye.